He walked out of college with no degree, no money, and no clear plan. People called him a quitter, a failure, a wasted talent. His teachers said he would regret this decision for the rest of his life. But what they didn't see was his burning idea, his sleepless nights, and his unstoppable belief. While others followed the safe path, he took the risky one. Years later, that college dropout became a successful entrepreneur, and the same people who doubted him started calling him a genius. This is the story of turning rejection into revolution. He walked out of the college gates on a cloudy afternoon, the sky matching the storm inside his chest. Students were celebrating graduation, laughing, taking photos, hugging their parents. Professors were shaking hands, smiling proudly. But he was walking away from it all, away from classrooms, away from expectations, away from a path that everyone said was the only road to success. In his bag, there were no certificates, no medals, no awards. Just a few notebooks, an old laptop, and a heart full of uncertain dreams. People thought he was crazy. His friends didn't understand him. Why would you quit when you're so close to finishing? They asked. His relatives whispered behind his back, calling him irresponsible and foolish. His teachers shook their heads, convinced he had wasted his potential. His parents tried to hide their disappointment, but he could see it in their eyes. That night, he sat alone in his small room, staring at the ceiling. The silence was heavy. He felt like he had jumped off a cliff with no parachute. But deep inside, beneath the fear and doubt, there was something powerful, a vision that refused to die. He didn't hate education. He hated the feeling of being trapped in someone else's dream, a mind that didn't fit the classroom. From a young age, he was different. While other students memorized formulas and chased grades, he questioned everything. He wondered why businesses worked the way they did, why some people became rich while others stayed poor, why innovation came from unexpected places. In lectures, he listened, but his mind traveled far beyond the classroom. He imagined apps, products, services, and companies that could change lives. He watched entrepreneurs online, listening to their stories late at night while others slept. He felt a strange connection to their journeys, the failures, the risks, the loneliness, and the breakthroughs. College was supposed to be his stepping stone, but it started to feel like a cage. Every day felt repetitive, predictable, and disconnected from the real world he wanted to build. He tried to balance both worlds, studying during the day and working on ideas at night. But the pressure kept growing. Exams, assignments, projects, expectations. His mind was torn between following the safe path and chasing the uncertain dream. One day, after failing an important exam and spending hours questioning his future, he made a decision that would change his life forever. He chose uncertainty over comfort. He chose risk over routine. He chose his dream over a degree. The day he dropped out was one of the hardest days of his life. He stood in front of the administration office, his hands trembling as he filled out the paperwork. Every signature felt like a goodbye to everything he had known. When he handed in the form, the clerk looked at him with pity. "You're making a big mistake," she said. Maybe she was right. When he told his parents, the room went silent. His father stared at the floor. His mother tried to stay strong, but her eyes were full of tears. They had sacrificed so much to send him to college. Now, their son was walking away. He felt guilty, ashamed, and scared. But he also felt free. For the first time, his life felt like his own. The harsh reality of freedom. Freedom came with a price. Without college, he had no safety net, no structured path, no guaranteed job. He had to survive. He moved into a tiny rented room with cracked walls, a broken fan, and neighbors who argued loudly at night. He took whatever work he could find, delivering food, cleaning offices, helping in small shops, tutoring kids who were still studying the subjects he had abandoned. Some days he barely earned enough to eat. He felt embarrassed when his old classmates posted pictures of their internships and corporate jobs. They wore suits, sat in fancy offices, and shared motivational quotes about success. Meanwhile, he was riding a bicycle in the rain to deliver food for strangers. At night, exhaustion hit him like a wave. But instead of sleeping, he opened his old laptop. That laptop was slow, noisy, and unreliable, but it was his gateway to the future. He worked on his idea. He read books, watched tutorials, studied marketing, coding, finance, and design. He experimented, failed, deleted projects, restarted again and again. Every failure hurt, but every failure taught him something new. Some nights, he stared at the screen and wondered if he had destroyed his life. But every morning, he woke up and tried again. Rejection, failure, and doubt. He pitched his ideas to friends, investors, and mentors. Most of them laughed politely. Some ignored him. Others told him he was unrealistic. No degree, no experience, no credibility. That sentence haunted him. He applied for accelerator programs and startup competitions. He received rejection emails one after another. He tried building a team, but people didn't trust a college dropout with no funding. There were moments when he almost gave up. He searched job listings and imagined himself going back to college, apologizing to his parents, and admitting defeat. But every time he came close to quitting, he remembered why he started. He didn't want a comfortable life. He wanted a meaningful one. The first small victory. After 2 years of struggle, something finally changed. He launched a small online business. A simple idea, but one he believed in deeply. At first, only a few people used it. Then a few dozen. Then a few hundred. He refreshed his dashboard constantly.
She's not going to tell you why she lost interest.
Every new customer felt like a miracle. He worked non-stop, improving features, answering emails, fixing bugs, learning from feedback. He didn't sleep much. He didn't go out. He didn't celebrate holidays. His life became work, learning, and dreaming. One day, he checked his bank account and froze. For the first time in his life, he wasn't worried about rent. He called his parents with shaking hands. "It's working," he said. His mother cried on the phone. His father's voice was calm but emotional. "I knew you would find your way," he said. That moment changed everything. Success didn't happen overnight, but slowly, his project grew into a startup. He hired his first employee, then his second, then a small team. He moved into a tiny office with cheap furniture and a whiteboard full of dreams. He learned leadership the hard way, through mistakes, conflicts, and failures. He lost money, hired the wrong people, made bad decisions, and learned painful lessons. But he also experienced victories he had never imagined. His product reached thousands of users. Investors started noticing him. Media outlets wrote about his story. People called him an entrepreneur. The same relatives who once criticized him now asked for advice. The same friends who doubted him now wanted to work with him. The same teachers who warned him invited him to speak to students. He realized how quickly opinions change when success appears. Facing the past, one day, he returned to his old college as a guest speaker. He walked through the same hallways where he once felt lost and trapped. Students sat in the same classrooms, listening to lectures, dreaming about the future. He stood on the stage, looking at young faces full of hope and confusion. "I dropped out of college," he began. The room went silent. He told them about fear, failure, loneliness, and doubt. He told them about delivering food, living in a tiny room, and crying alone at night. He told them about rejection, humiliation, and almost giving up. Then he told them about the breakthrough, the company, the employees, and the impact he was creating. He ended with a simple message. Education is powerful, but it's not the only path. Some people graduate, some people innovate, some people do both. What matters is not the path you choose, but the courage to walk it. The students stood up and clapped. The real university. He often said that life became his university. Failure was his professor. Persistence was his degree. Experience was his classroom. He learned more from building his company than from any textbook. He learned about people, markets, psychology, leadership, finance, technology, and himself. He learned that success is not about intelligence or luck. It is about resilience. Giving back. As his company grew, he started mentoring young entrepreneurs. He invested in small startups, spoke at conferences, and shared his journey online. He wanted people to understand that dropping out is not a magic formula for success. It is a risky, painful, uncertain path that requires extreme discipline and courage. He encouraged people to chase their dreams, but also to respect education, to learn continuously, and to stay humble. The final reflection.
She's not
One
going to
night,
tell you why
he sat
she
in his
lost
office,
interest.
looking at the city lights outside the window. He thought about that rainy afternoon when he walked out of college with nothing but a backpack and a dream. He thought about the fear, the hunger, the loneliness, and the doubt. He smiled. Dropping out didn't make him successful. Believing in himself did. He didn't follow the traditional path. He created his own, and that is what made all the difference. Final message to the audience. He walked out of college as a nobody. He walked into the world and became somebody, not because he was lucky, not because he was rich, but because he refused to quit on his dream. If you are confused about your future, remember this story. Your path doesn't have to look like everyone else's. Sometimes, the boldest decision you make will become the best chapter of your life.